So what do you think I'm going to want to know that you know what a bank is for a start? Right? Fighting in the cell wall. And what is the whole yeast or mold thing where it can switch known as? Dimorphism. Different kinds of different presentations. So know the difference between a yeast and mold and know what's dimorphic. When is it going to be a yeast and when is it going to be a mold? Know that they can reproduce sexually or asexually. Immunity, remember it's T cells, cell-mediated, and the non-specific, the role of antibodies is not really known, but it's thought that these are the major players. So Candida, what's key about Candida? Endogenous, right? One of the key words you're going to see with the core clusters is going to be endogenous. C. albicans, major pathogenic species, but there are more that can all cause oral infections. Remember, pseudohyphin and chlamydospores are two words. So endogenous fungal infection, chlamydospores and pseudohyphae, you're going to be thinking Candida. So remember, most infections endogenous, very unusual routes of transmission, but can be exogenous. Predisposing factors, you remember from yesterday, a lot of the fungi, one of the predisposing factors is diabetes, and obviously cancer treatment, any kind of hematologic malignancy, immunocompromise. So depression of the immune system. Remember, most of us carry it, so this is an opportunistic pathogen most of the time. And these are some of the people that know this. What are the risk factors for oral pharyngeal Candida infection? So there's different types of Candida that can appear in the cavity, so it isn't just one morphology. So you can go from these white patches that can be wiped off with pseudohyphae, pseudomembranous, where it's actually got attached more to the actual surface so that when you scrape it you're going to get bleeding. You've got this erythematous, where basically it's just flat and red, or you've got this leukoplakia that we talked about that can be mistaken for squamous cell carcinoma, where you've got the thickening of the epithelium. So know the different manifestations that can happen in the oral cavity. Be aware of the fact that it's not just one. So if you get asked about a white patchy thing in your oral cavity that can be wiped away with gauze, most of the time they're going to be asking you about Candida, but be aware that there are some different manifestations in the oral cavity of candidiasis. So again, this pseudohyphae, antifungals. Another thing to remember about Candida is the use of antimicrobials, specifically antibacterials, selected for Candida albicans infection. And the board like Candida. Okay, are we good with Candida? Endogenous infections, know the different forms in the oral cavity and risk populations for it. And what words are the key words you're going to look for and think Candida? Chlamydospores, endogenous, perfect. Histoplasmosis, so remember this is dimorphic, two varieties of capsulatum. Remember which one we have in the States. Capsulatum, very easy to remember. We have capsulatum capsulatum. This Duswazi is actually in the tropical areas of Africa. And remember that in the US, this is going to cause pulmonary and disseminated infections. So remember this diagram because it pretty much tells you three at least of the key things I want you to know, which is, where does it like living? Yeah, so if you've got birds and bats, high nitrogen content, that's where it likes. You can see the spores. What's the route of transmission? You're going to inhale them. And then what else is key? It is intracellular. Goes to the lungs, into the system, where it can travel around intracellularly. Again, you see, lungs, limbs, in the blood, intracellularly. So inhalation doesn't spread between people, doesn't spread between people and animals. So cats can get histoplasmosis. I know you're all loving cats right now, but they cannot spread it to us, and we cannot spread it to them. Very rare if you had a contaminated organ. You could get histoplasmosis, but very rare. Risk groups, these are going to be the same as a lot of the other risk groups you have. I don't specifically ask you about it in exam 2, but that doesn't mean you don't know it. Know this, the diagnosis, which is the best test for diagnosing acute histoplasmosis infection. Usually resolves without treatment. Are we happy with histoplasmosis? Where does it like to live?
Guano.
Aye, guano. How do we get it? And what's key once it gets in the body? Sporotrichosis. So remember this one, this was the rose gardener's disease, another dimorphic fungus. So, most common route of transmission is going to be traumatic inoculation. Like you can get some zoonotic transmission from armadillos or infected cats from their scratches and bites. I'm feeling bad. Cutaneous sporotrichosis most common. So I've told you right here what is the most common manifestation of sporotrichosis. Umami. It helps your brain to have to then physically say the words. I know it sounds freaky, but it does. Very rare, it can be pulmonary, and then obviously disseminated, and this is in immunocompromised people. Where's it going to go? And I want you to know that one too. Didn't think I asked you. Geotrichosis. So we're happy with histoplasmosis and we're happy with sporotrichosis. Going on to geotrichosis. The cause of it here, part of the normal microflora. This one would probably be an idea for you to know. Again, immunosuppressed individuals with diabetes. And this is one, okay, thick bloody sputum. I've given you things like burning pain, combined with impaired swallowing, combined with an easily scrapable plaque, that together might give you geotrichosis. So that's an example of kind of the ones I said where I'll give you kind of a list of what your patient has and hope you get it. Did I have a bit more obvious about that slide right there? Know what I mean? North American, know the difference, North American blastocytosis, that's this one right here, dimorphic, primary pathogen, can infect normal and immunocompromised. So know this slide. This one's useful because it tells you it likes decaying organic matter, and again, you inhale your spores and they go to the lungs and disseminate. So obviously, know the main diseases and causes. So know this slide right here, and I'll tell you where it goes. Extrapulmonary. This one, remember, it's got multiple buds, so it's very distinctive. This is South American. So you should know this one. Remember, this is one that like the tropics, so it likes it moist and warm. Mucormycosis, you need to know mucormycosis. The boards like mucormycosis too. So you need to know, the thing that I'm going to want to know is what are the main pathogenic genre that we looked at. So you do need to be aware of the fact that this is a big, caused by a big group, but the ones we focused on are these. So for the boards, you might need to know this bit too. For me, I just want you to know this bit. Quite rare. So bear in mind that these are very, very severe infections. Contact with fungal spores is how you're going to get it. Most common cause. Right here, you need to know. Risk factors for mucormycosis. I told you here, most common form in patients with diabetes. If you see most common form, it's worth knowing. Rhinocerebral, right here. Remember the symptoms where we saw, you can't see it very well on this picture, where it can actually spread up to the eye and cause infection of the eye and protrusion. And then you can get pulmonary and cutaneous. Remember, the cutaneous can either be primary or secondary. What's the difference between the two? What would a primary cutaneous infection be? But I don't ask you that. I was in a, let's not confuse it. I was on a roll of getting it down. Know how to treat it. The key thing about mucormycosis, you remember a lot of the questions was about the actual tissue penetration and how it can actually eat into things. There's some questions at the end. And then aspergillosis, opportunistic. Remember this one, if you see things in bold, remember what I put in bold. Don't worry about this. I don't ask you to, but just be aware that there are different classifications of aspergillosis. But I don't ask you that slide. Be aware of these. These are different manifestations that you can have. Oral facial. So obviously be aware of when oral facial aspergillosis happens. Hypholedements invade the oral mucosa and lesions are yellow and black. And then remember we looked at this case report where this lady had both mucormycosis and aspergillosis. What's one of the key things about cryptococcus that's different? It has a capsule. And let's remember these two. Remember this one right here. Remember this one right here. I don't think I asked you anything about that one. No, this is just useful in terms of if you've done the other stuff, this shouldn't be needed, but here it's reminding you it's cellular, encapsulated, super hyphae, and branching the septate hyphae. So look, hard and soft tissue necrosis is how they, magic infraction is how they phrase it. Aspergillus, you know that one. How are we feeling about mycosis? And I think that's about it. You will obviously, familiar is going to be on it in terms of a new lecture, and then anything that we did before exam 1 is fair game for 1 or 2 questions, including the online modules.
1 or 2 questions. Yeah, it just means 0 incentive to study.
Most of the ones I've done, I will be honest, I'm interested, personally, in knowing what difference a recip makes to your retaining information.
Great difference.
So, I'm not going to stitch you, but I do want to know that you are retaining information. So the chances of me putting a question that's completely out there that we haven't emphasised before from a previous lecture would be pretty mean. And I'll just stop there and see you in half an hour. You do have to come to this evidence-based engineering assignment thing, people. I have to mark 95 of them. The smoother we can make that process go, and the more ticks we can put on it, the easier all our lives will be. It should take 2 hours.